Hello everyone and welcome back to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Apologies for the missing show on Friday. There was a parental issue that was raised and I had to be there for that one. Outside of that though, we are pretty regular on the Spoiler Warning. We have 35 people here, 19 likes. Let's get those thumbs up coming in as we run down the headlines for today's show. It is mostly focused on the Bloodline and on Summerslam, which is unlikely to surprise anyone because let's face it, that's the big story at the moment. And in fact, we'll be talking about what WWE considered to be the big stories in the coming months as well. We're going to talk Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Dan, thank you very much for subscribing on the YouTube side. Welcome to the show and ask away with your questions. So Cody versus Solo will be one of our discussion topics for SummerSlam. We're going to talk Roman versus Cody 2. Roman versus Cody 2 is a discussion topic today, as is Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns, so quite a lot going on there. We're going to talk a little bit about Jacob Fatu, the wildcard element, and also suggestions that he may be a future tribal chief. More on that shortly. The Bloodline's position in the WWE pantheon. What are the A storylines? What are the B storylines? And why is Liv Morgan considered more important to the WWE storytelling right now than its World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest? We're going to talk a bit about the WWE reaction to the Wyatt 6, as well as a little bit about Kayla Braxton and her choice to leave the WWE. We're also, of course, going to be answering as many of your questions as we can, so please be sure to jump in with them. We'll be getting to our top story shortly, but as it's very Bloodline related and a bit all over the place there, let's talk to as many of you as we can before we do. When we went live, I could see plenty of people chatting away. Thank you for that. You are the reason we have 65 people in here now. Please keep those thumbs ups coming. We're 2 away from 30. Every time we do have a very lively conversation before and even during the show, we do see a massive boost in viewership, and it does help fill this channel before the news starts. Alan Proctor, thank you very kindly for becoming a subscriber on the channel as well. So it is a massive help and I do very much appreciate it. We've got 84 viewers across both Twitch and YouTube right now, and that steamroller effect is playing out to great effect. So thank you to everyone who was chatting away beforehand. Rickon says, will we see Zilla Fatu in WWE soon? He said, see you soon on Instagram. I believe contact has been made. I have not had any new contract offer confirmed. Drive-by says, good to have you back, Tom. It's been a crazy week for pro wrestling. With Meltzer reporting the plan for SummerSlam main event is Solo versus Cody. Wonder where I heard that one before. Do you think this is where Roman makes his big return? That will be something we discussed. The headlines likely gave the game away a little. Bailey says, 28 waiting. There were days when 28 was a total turnout. Yes, there were. Those of us who've been here a while can see the growth of this channel. And honestly, I found it incredibly encouraging, particularly for anyone else who wants to get into the field. You can make it happen. 44 likes, one more to 45. Brad says, are we ready? Drive-by says, get those likes in, guys. I'm saying for 100. Thank you. Denisha says, hi. Hey, everyone. Dylan says, hi, everyone. Marcel says, hi, Tom and Jack. How are you all? Daniel says, hey, everyone. Happy Monday. Leon says, hi, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Doing very well. Thank you. And then I can catch up on this one. Spider-Boss says, Drew really beat up CM Punk on Chicago. Charles says, what's your guess as to the probability of seeing Ricky Starks and Malachi Black in the WWE prior to the Rumble? 0. We won't get both before the Rumble. Promise you that one. Khalid says, welcome back, mate. I missed you on Friday. Missed you guys too. But unfortunately, we just got a little bit stuck in traffic on a train where there had apparently been a fight. A lot of aggressive people lately that I do need to talk about. Got shouted out on the street recently. Someone approached me, clearly drunk, shouting, screaming, trying to protect the guy I was talking to from me. The guy I was talking to had no idea what was going on and was telling him to go away the whole time. The guy, of course, started screaming and shouting, realised I wasn't running away and suddenly lost his balls. Similar thing, went to an event for my child, a young sports event, let's say that, on Sunday. Someone behind me apparently didn't have a great view, decided instead of arguing with the 40 or so other people to just pick a fight with me, shouted, screamed, raved, realised I wasn't backing down, lost his balls entirely. Later, apparently, while I wasn't there, kicked my eldest child. Wish I'd known about that one. Needless to say, not a fan of bullies. Anyway, that's where I was on Friday. Freya says hi. Hello, Freya. Welcome to the show. Danny says, hello Tom, looking forward to seeing what the Wyatt 6 have in store tonight. Smash them likes up. In fact, we're 5 minutes in. Already 100 viewers, 47 likes. 3 more, guys, 3 more. Spiderboss says, Jacob Fatu is more dominant than Solo Sikoa. More on that shortly. Razar says, hello Tom, welcome Razar. Pillar to Post says, Samoan Civil War Games. Indeed. Eric says, hi Tom, how you doing buddy? Doing very well, thank you. Sean says, did you know Seth was at Raw and Drew was at SmackDown? No, and yeah. Michael says, hi Tom, welcome Michael. Dylan says, Tom, this may not even mean he's winning, given that Jay's on the main poster for Money in the Bank. Is that a hint that he's winning? Jay Uso also featured on the poster for the event that's literally just happened, and he did not appear on that show. Juan says, hey Tom, as soon as I saw AEW's 502,000 rating, I waited Friday for your update concerning news you may had. Welcome back. I don't have concerning news, guys. You know where it is. Yes, AEW are struggling at the moment for ratings. However, they're still a major earner for the channels that they operate on. I'm still expecting a TV deal, and you'll have heard this from me before, not the one that Tony Khan is expecting. Eric says, good evening, Tom. How you doing? Doing very well, thank you, Eric. Welcome to the show. Justin says, hi. Hello, Justin. Jason says, what was the reasoning for Seth coming back early? Apparently just exceeded all expectations. And the WWE saw an opportunity to give Damian Priest a pretty big draw match. So why not? They're not going to push him too hard. It's not 100%. But the hope is that he'll be able to give a decent quality scalp for Damian Priest before Priest gets demolished by Gunter. Michael, the yardstick when it comes to the subscription, has renewed his Twitch subscription for a 40th month. Which means I've been doing this every week for 41 months. We of course started in January 2021. What a life, what a charmed life we live. Thank you as always for your continued generosity, Michael. David says, Tom, WWE filed a trademark for independent development. Do you know what that's about? Not at this point, no. Sid says, do you think Shane McMahon will join AEW? I do not. Jordan says, howdy. Howdy, Jordan. Ishi says, hello, Tom. Hope you're okay. Doing well, thank you, Ishi. Ed says, speaking of the early days, I remember the very early days when I was one of the few single-digit view accounts. Quite often, sir, you were the one and only. Nobody you'd rather be. Drive-by says, hope things are going well with your new house. Thursday, it legally becomes mine. Which is why July 8th will likely be our last show for a little while I get things sorted, get the internet set up, and start to trust the house. Dan says, hi Tom, been watching for a bit, but just subscribed today. Appreciate your efforts and content. Thank you, Dan, I appreciate that. Noob says, hello everyone. Hello, Noob. Spiderboss says, it's amazing that Liv is more important than the World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest. Priest has done well, Liv's title reign is disappointing, not related to the championships they hold. Aaron says, hope you're well, doing very well. Thank you, Aaron. The man of 3 H's says, hey Tom, love the show, hope you enjoyed my booking. Funny. Robin Dave says, hey Tom, with Roman returning as a babyface, do you think they will pull the turn right then, or will they wait it out? More on that shortly. Dylan says, what do you think of the announcement that WrestleMania, Royal Rumble and SummerSlam are going to Indianapolis? I think the WWE was offered a shit ton of money. Freya says, is AEW really losing more fans? Yes and no. Dylan says, would this be the first time WrestleMania has been international? Indiana is not international. Eric says, completely off topic, but I find it funny that 2 months ago Liv wasn't even on the Mania card. 2 months later she's on the run of her career. Yeah, they always knew what they were doing. There was always going to be a plan to push her heavily, just not as heavily as this. Danny says, will Julia appear at Heatwave as looks like Roxanne will face Lola Vice? Lola Vice is a backup plan in case Roxanne's injury is more serious than I expected. It's funny, Dylan. Hector says, Tom, do you think Jacob Fatu's tremendous body transformation was more of his choice, or was this a suggestion by the WWE when he was signed? Because he looks amazing. The WWE does not tell people to lose weight anymore. Sean says, Joe Hendry's debut on NXT is WWE's most liked and most watched tweet on WWE page post WrestleMania 40. It has 19,000 more likes and 8 million more views than the debut of Wyatt 6. Yes, because no one ever believed this would happen, whereas a lot of Wyatt 6 stuff had already been spoiled. Spider-Bus says, only fans on social media care about ratings, plus of course Tony Khan. Mount 3H says, how's the heatwave been? London was crazy hot today. Yeah, it's been pretty intense. Thankfully, living in the north, it's been just the right level. Not too hot, but definitely not too cold. Denisha says, why would Malachi Black want to be AEW not doing nothing with him? He would come in for the Royal Rumble. Something called contracts. Razar says, I think Seth is winning the title and Money in the Bank, because why would he come back to lose so fast? Gunter. Keenan says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well, had a great weekend. was a busy one, was a very hectic one, but overall, enjoyed it. Sorry, Danny, not Roxanne injury. I meant not Roxanne injury. Sorry, I meant Julia. Shay says the BL story could go two ways. Jacob kicks out Solo before War Games, enters Hikuleo, new versus OG. Rickan says, when can we expect Talatonga Hikulio's debut? Not for a little while yet. One says, according to Dave Meltzer, who believes if AEW leave Warner Brothers, FX could be a suitor. Thoughts? I have no information about this whatsoever. Michael says, is the Y6 coming today? Yes. Bailey says a triple play for Indianapolis only sets the floor for larger governments worldwide to throw money at WWE to have just such an event in their city. Yes, this is an advertisement, as in fact was the Minneapolis debut of the two-night SummerSlam. This is WWE saying, hey, if you want a huge event... Freya says, should Cody turn heel or Orton turn heel, or both of them turn heel? Neither, yet. Joseph say, Tom, how you doing today? Doing very well, thank you, Joe. Jan says, I think Triple H announced on the Pat McAfee show Becky Lynch re-signed with WWE without saying it out loud. I guess she inked the deal before she left after the final match of her old contract. Interesting phrasing there, old contract. Jan says, Triple H says Becky Lynch is out on a hiatus right now, which she is. I've already confirmed that the situation is that she's on a break between WWE contracts, and when she returns, a new deal, which has already been agreed, will be signed. Spider-Boss says the Liv and Dom storyline is more a Vince storyline, but he's booked by Triple H. I thought Triple H didn't like romantic storylines. If you think this is romantic, you're a very confused man. Joe says, Tommy will always be a legend to me. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Zane says, when the Y6 debuted on Raw, I switched my TV off. I have no interest. Okay, well, you only had to miss 2 minutes. Juan says, keep on the lookout for trolls, guys. So far, so good. Wiggly, welcome to the show. Thank you very kindly for renewing your subscription for a 33rd month. We have some incredibly generous people here, and you're certainly amongst them. Thank you kindly. That says, Tom, what's next for Drew? Been reporting it for months. CM Punk. CM Punk. CM Punk. What up, Wiggly? I understand you're a very busy man right now. Charles says, do you have any idea as to when the Mania Vegas tickets will go on sale? I do not at this point in time. Michael says, will they show up in person? Yes. Counterfeit says, could Rhea win the title at Bash in Berlin or WrestleMania 31? Yes. She also might not. Sean says, Dave said on Wrestling Observer Julia won't be wrestling Roxanne at Heatwave for the NXT Women's title. She'll debut for NXT later this year. Could be due to Julia's injury or the coming match with Sarray. It's the injury. If it doesn't happen, it's because she didn't recover from injury in time. That's the entire reason. Andrew says, hello Tom, been a while. I think the YS6 debut last week was phenomenal and Jacob Fatu will be absolutely incredible. Can't wait to see Zilla, but potentially the next Samoan to join soon. Freya says, will Dom pick Liv or Rhea as his mammy? He's already got one mammy. Let's not mess around with that stuff. Dylan says, I loved the same Punk segment last Friday with Paul asking him to take me with you. Cannot wait until Roman returns and saves Paul from Solo's clutches in a match for the custody of Paul Heyman. Rickan says, does Jimmy return soon? No. Long overdue, Wiggly. Good shout. Counterfeit says, is Bailey and Damian's title reign slowly but surely coming to an end? Not for Bailey. Not for Bailey. It's all I can really say at this point. Not for Bailey. Right, we have 121 people here, 64 likes so far. Please do remember to hit that thumbs up if you can. It does make a huge difference and really help to gather people into this channel. It really helps the growth of the show. I do want to send a thank you out to Denisha, who has given us a very generous donation. It says, do you have an update on Ricky Starks? Do you think his contract is up soon? Hope he does go to WWE soon. Ricky Starks' contract is up relatively soon, as in the next few months to my knowledge. He's not getting the opportunities at AEW. He is said to have been eager to leave the company. Those of you in the chat, please do remember to hit the thumbs up on Denisha's donation as well. I really do appreciate anyone doing that. It really does help. Just as a way of saying thank you for that donation, not just from myself, because I do want to say thank you for continued generosity, but also from everyone watching as well. So I've broken down our news into several smaller chunks when it comes to the Bloodline, because there's just a lot based around Bloodline. I'm going to start with Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Dave Meltzer has today confirmed my report from I was speculating about a month ago, from about 2 weeks ago, where I reported that Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa was the plan for SummerSlam. I also reported during that same show that what I expected to see was Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, which would be a party and a half. That is what I'm expecting at Money in the Bank. The plans for Cody versus Solo is for Cody to essentially dip his feet in the Bloodline. The Bloodline have other stories to tell, but this is simply not about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is there to make Solo Sikoa, make Tama Tonga, make all of those look good. He's there to help keep a focus on him versus Randy Orton as a possibility for the future as well, which is something they're considering before the arrival of The Rock. But he's also there to take the eyes off something else. Now, I spoke earlier in the year, well, I spoke earlier in the week, in the month, about Roman Reigns' return plans. We have 69 likes, one more gets us to 70. Please, can you be my one? Roman Reigns' return plans do hover around Cody Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes is not the reason for it. Solo Sikoa is the reason for it. Roman Reigns is currently, quietly, expected to return around SummerSlam time, unless that potentially gets pushed back. But at the moment, he's lined up to return at SummerSlam, which is why at current, despite the success of Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, the main event for SummerSlam is Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. It's also why we've seen Jacob Fatu arrive, because that means there's too many people on one side. Meaning we need one more on the side of the faces. Now, my expectation, to put it simply, is that Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam results in a victory for Cody Rhodes. And then, once the celebrations have ended, then we see the arrival of Roman Reigns, very similar to how it was 4 years ago, with a spear to Solo Sikoa. My expectation is that shortly afterwards, Roman Reigns will reclaim the Bloodline successfully, at which point we will move on to Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes 2, which we'll go into a little bit more detail about next. I do want to continue to keep up with the chat. Danny says, will CM Punk be out longer now due to Drew's attack on him on SmackDown? Yes and no. Essentially, he did have a big return, but he wasn't 100%, so he's been injured and written out for a little longer. But the plan is still very much to have him involved at SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre has written him out for Money in the Bank, but we didn't expect him at Money in the Bank anyway. Hector says, Tom, do you think Chad Gable being back a week after the Y6 clearly beat him down could affect the impact of the Y6 debut, or could he show more of the mental effects it's taking on him? More in that shortly. Counterfeit says, I think Nia may win the belt from Bayley at SummerSlam. I personally do not expect that. Wiggly says, a match for the custody of Paul Heyman sounds so crazy to the outside world. Spider-Bot says, I think the Liv and Dom storyline needs Rhea back for Takeoff, and that we'll get that soon. Michael, I swear I've already answered that question, just in part, because you asked it in parts. Roger says, the best SmackDown all year and the best week of WWE TV between Raw and SmackDown all year. All it takes is big debuts. Freya says, do you like the brand new tag team champions in SmackDown? Yeah, they're alright. Counterfeit says, who do you personally think will beat Bayley for the belt, and when and what PLE? Personally, I still think a heel Bianca Belair is another shout. Ishi says, wasn't it your birthday today? Nope. Nope, my birthday will be on Sunday, July 7th. The birthday stream will be on July 8th, and it will be our final stream for a couple of weeks while I finish and finalise the move over to the new house, get the internet set up, and basically settle in. Thank you, Sid, for the confirmation. Always appreciate you. Coot says, my dark horse pick for Money in the Bank is Dakota Kai, as I feel like they never covered the story of Bayley versus Dakota Kai in the Damage Control storyline. King Arthur says, Tom, we're getting a face-off between Roman and Jacob Fatu at SummerSlam. More on that shortly. Oh, yes. Sorry, Razar, I appreciate you. I did mean Roman versus Cody 3. Khalid says, I can't wait to see Roman Reigns return as a face. Ishii says, are we getting a Y6 versus Bloodline feud in the future? More on that shortly. Sid says, what do you think of the new character for Wendy Chu? I hated it. Couldn't tell you. I've been busy recently. Haven't watched NXT. Wiggly says, 4 years ago, Roman returned at SummerSlam and wrecked everyone. I don't think Cody is safe of getting a spear from Roman. That is also what I personally expect. Wiggly says, I mean, in the normal world, we use a legal system to settle custody disputes. In WWE match is legally binding. Yes, because in kayfabe, referees are lawyers. No, Mohammed, I do not have a new update about Bliss, but as I previously mentioned, she was not going to be debuting with the Wired Six, but she would be involved with them. Space Gang says, can't wait to see what's in store on Friday for Jacob. Bailey says, where do you see his Joe Hendry story eventually heading? To a very good time for TNA. Spider-Boss says, do you think Bianca and Jade win back the women's tag team titles? Eventually, yes. Sean says, congrats on the new house, Tom. Appreciate you. Thank you kindly. Wiggly says, 7th of July is the date for the victory party if all goes well on the 4th. Fun fact, the 4th of July is also when I'm expecting to get the keys for the new house. It's going to be a day of refresher. Chris says, my mom's birthday is next Monday. Okay. Freya says, do you want the Winged Eagle champion back in WWE? No. Counterfeit says, when will they get back to Bayley versus Damage Control? When they feel they've allowed the fans to become ready for it again. Oh, thank you, Wiggly, for reminding me of that. I misread. Shah says, any updates on the Jade story from last Monday? Ari, her confidence in the ring? Not at this point in time, unfortunately. Goo43 wants a YS6 versus House of Black feud. We ain't getting there yet. King says, if we're getting Roman versus Cody free, I see Roman winning the belt back. More on that very shortly. Sid says, will Paul Heyman be turning babyface? Unlikely. Sean said, do you think Alexa still returns at SummerSlam? It's a long time ago that I said she's penciled in for SummerSlam, but I can still see it happening. Once, so speaking of Kayla Braxton, Tom, she was quick to deny AEW interest reported by Dave Meltzer. Red herring? No, more on that shortly. Spider-Boss says Chelsea Green has been doing really well on SmackDown. I agree. And Sean says Chelsea Green said if she wins a briefcase and cashes in and wins a title, she'll bring back the Divas title. One of the many reasons they are not going to let her win. We have 121 people watching, 77 likes, 3 more gets us to 80. Chat rate is doing fantastic. We have a chat rate of 10 right now, which is absolutely amazing and really shows how well we're doing at the moment. I'm going to have a quick drink. And we're going to talk Roman versus Cody free. Again, my expectation is that the return of Roman Reigns will happen at SummerSlam, and that the return of Roman Reigns will herald a regaining of the bloodline for Roman, however temporary it may be. You see, I want Roman to return, and what I'm seeing is Roman returning to the bloodline briefly, regaining control of the bloodline and a very happy Paul Heyman briefly, returning to a feud between he and Cody Rhodes briefly, and in the rematch at a relatively B pay-per-view, which I kind of expect to be in Saudi Arabia, Roman Reigns will lose to Cody Rhodes again after being betrayed by the entire bloodline. Solo Sikoa having his moment to attack Roman Reigns and claim the bloodline for himself. This, as I say, is not about Cody Rhodes. It's about Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, which is a match that I'm being told is planned for WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes goes on to face The Rock, and Solo Sikoa has an opportunity to beat Roman Reigns. Now, Solo versus Roman is where this is all building. It's where it's been building since well before WrestleMania, and it would be for, officially, the tribal chieftain, with Roman Reigns essentially being retired from his position by Solo Sikoa and going back to being a babyface as a solo act, likely with Paul Heyman. The bloodline by this point will have grown considerably, and we will have already seen Jay and Jimmy Uso go back to working with Roman, however briefly. However, when I'm talking about Solo versus Roman, the idea will be that Solo Sikoa will be the new Roman Reigns. Jacob Fatu will be the new Solo Sikoa. You see, I've been saying for years now, Solo Sikoa is the next tribal chief, which is why when the match at SummerSlam against Jey Uso happened, I knew Roman was retaining, because the tribal chieftain was on the line and Jey Uso was not the guy. Shortly afterwards, even Paul Heyman stated, even Roman Reigns stated, that the next tribal chief is Solo Sikoa. That is what they are putting into play. That is what will happen with Solo versus Roman. Of course, once that happens, history will start to repeat itself. You see, all of this has happened before, and all of it will happen again. Solo Sikoa will find someone more than willing to undermine him. Raymond says, hello Tom, hope you're having a great day. Looking forward to seeing the new setup after the move. At first, initially, it will genuinely just be a white wall. I can't say otherwise. It's going to be very expensive, having a house and then moving in my entire family. So it's going to be difficult at first. And to be honest, my backdrop is not my main concern. My main concern is making sure that my children have somewhere safe to sleep. and there is a little bit of work that needs to be done. Bit of plastering, bit of repairs on the floor, a lot of loose wires attached to the aerial. We don't really use an aerial anymore, so I might just get rid of that entirely. Anyway, I will eventually have what I'm looking forward to as 2 corner backdrops. Essentially meaning I'll have a corner here and a corner there. And maybe a corner over there as well, which I can use to record live, to record recorded, and to record long form. That is what I'm thinking of at the moment for my setup. Once it's all really formally set, I'll give you all a full tour. To be fair, you can stream now from your phone, so it might be a lot of fun. Wiggly says, gonna catch some dinner, been a long evening, we'll catch you soon. Fair enough, mate, have a good night. Sean says, YouTube refuses to notify me when you stream. Sorry to hear that, Sean. It is a regular show. We do occasionally deviate for daylight savings, and I'm unfortunately not in control of that. But 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. UK time is always when we go live. There will occasionally be a show where I have to skip it for reasons beyond my control, or in fact reasons that are my control, and you will usually get a notification in the Discord and on Twitter, or what is now X, at Colohue. No, Wiggly, I'm not doing AEW. There's a lot of them, and I don't think my body is physically capable of it. Plus, most of them probably don't want me to. Hector says Jacob Fatu's about to sell more merch in his first week in WWE than he has at any time prior to his career, which is crazy to think. It's not. Spider-Bot said at this point Paul Heyman could be babyface. Heyman has been a heel manager for most of his career, indeed. Counterfeit says since the Rumble is potentially going to be in February next year, how will they set up the PLE schedule? Mania is April 19th to 20th, so the WWE will have to do something to make the schedule make sense. Yeah, it's really quite simple. They do one less show a year. Wiggly says, I'm planning to go to Cardiff. Oh, gotcha. Cardiff for Dynamite. To be honest, I'd prioritise Dynamite over All In. I'm not planning either. Robin Dave says, you think it's time for Roman to return as a babyface? I do. Michael says they beat the Bloodline to death. Freya says, I want Roman return too. Khalid says, I can't wait for Bloodline in War Games. Sean says, I believe Lyra and Braun will win their respective triple threat matches tonight. They do fit the bill in the Money in the Bank format very well. Rickon says, I thought it was The Rock behind this new Bloodline, so it's Solo all along. Solo is the next tribal chief. The Rock may be involved. He may be running things, but he's not the next tribal chief. Freya says, how about The Rock versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam? That would completely ignore the development of Solo Sikoa. They've been building towards this for a while. Spider-Ball says, Roman losing again versus Cody doesn't make any sense. Cody got his victory at WrestleMania. I think Roman can make the WWE Undisputed title relevant again with the Bloodline storyline. The title has not lost relevance just because Cody Rhodes has it, and the story is not about Cody or the championship. Roger says, I cried when I heard Killer Braxton was leaving WWE. I liked her a lot. The other Mike says, who do you all think Solo is? He's mid at best. And yet, he's getting a big shot. So WWE clearly disagree. Sean says, what do you think Solo meant when he said Roman isn't coming back? Roman's coming back. Freya says, will Rock turn face or stay heel? Against Cody Rhodes, he's going to be a heel. Dylan says, what do you think will end the Bloodline story? Roman retiring or Solo being defeated by Roman and his Bloodline? Neither. More on that very shortly. Wiggly says, ooh, corner's the best thing about rooms. Kelly says, if Solo costs Roman, I'll be okay with it. King Azza says, I see The Rock winning the Rumble next year. KJ says, what's up, Tom? It's been a while. Don't think it's been that long, mate. Nice to see you. Danny says, 100% Tom, delighted you're getting a new home. Happy for you, mate. Well deserved the work you do on YouTube for us. Thank you very kindly. I appreciate you for that. Speaking of course, we're now up to 141 viewers, 85 likes. 5 more gets us to 90, and then we're very much on the chase. Razar says, any Charlotte Flair updates? I feel like she's coming back soon. She is. She's nearly there, very nearly there. I expect her very shortly. Okay, Jay, you never get a notification either. Have you hit the bell, or is YouTube just being a dick? Marcel says, very happy for you that you have your own house. Me too, mate. Me too. I'm very excited for it. It's an element of security that I've never really had and allows me to bet on myself in a big way. KJ says, hi Tom, random question. If Punk never got hurt and Rock still came back, who would have main evented night 1 of Mania? Punk. The Rock would have wrestled Cody Rhodes. Nope. The Rock would have wrestled Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania Night 2. Cody would likely have wrestled... Oh, God, that's a good question. Because that would... Oh, there's a lot of pivots involved here. But yeah, the original plan was Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch main eventing night 1. That was changed to Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. That was changed then to The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins after briefly flirting with Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins as a main event of night 1. There were 4 different main events of night 1 planned. Roger says, I'm thinking of doing a TNA YouTube podcast. I don't know if it will get that many viewers. Can but try, mate. I didn't get many viewers at first. Don't ever forget that. Spider-Boss says The Rock is currently injured. I think we won't see The Rock for a while. Joey says, hey Tom, do you got any news on the ratings AEW did last week? I do not. That's not something I have. Interesting, Callie. You've certainly got your hands full. Thank you very much for joining us regardless. John says, I believe Cody is currently injured. I believe he said he broke 2 ribs. And yet will still be wrestling. Kelly says, congratulations on the housemate. You deserve it. Appreciate you. Add his YouTube. Sorry to hear that, KJ. Counterfeit says, Tom, how do you see a PLE in Africa going? Do you think the crowd would be Puerto Rico level or maybe France level or in between or its own thing? Never seen it. Wouldn't know. Charles says, there were a month left in Ricochet's contract. Is the door for him re-signing officially closed now? No, nowhere near. The door is open for him pretty much the rest of his career. Isaiah says, hey Tom, any news on Shotzi's current condition? Not at this point in time. There are no creative plans for Shotzi to my knowledge. Danny says, let's get the likes up to 100 tonight. 91 so far. I love that you guys see a challenge there. Hector says, the best thing about Roman's tribal chief theme is that it could be used as a face or a heel. When he turns, it'll still be just as good as if he was a heel. Spider-Boss says, the story wasn't about Cody versus The Rock. The story was Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania, but WWE changed plans. Yes. Okay, Sean. I wasn't there for that, so I wouldn't know. Cal says, Tom, I hope you're okay, man, on this very warm Monday. Yeah, it's been hot. It's been very hot. KU says, yeah, Tom, I've been thinking about that so much recently. If it's 2 nights and you have Roman, Rock, Punk, Rollins and Cody involved, who gets the matches? Cal says, the Wire 6 debut absolutely shocked me. It was so much better than I ever expected. Isaiah, I've never heard of WWE Vault, so I wouldn't say it's official. What I will say is that I've really enjoyed this. We had a guy recently, bless him, on Twitter calling me a liar. And that makes me laugh. Because here's the thing. The same day he called me a liar is at the beginning of an episode of Raw when the Wyatt 6 debuted. I named everyone involved. I named everyone who wasn't involved. I said everything that was going to be happening and everything that was happening with the characters along the way. How they'd be introduced, how many of them were there, etc, etc. And they said, oh, Tom gets it wrong again, which is hilarious. Recently, they've decided to continue doing this, arguing that I'd apparently said Jacob Fatu was never going to debut. Pretty funny. I gave more information than anyone else, about why Jacob Fatu hadn't debuted yet, and that I was expecting him when they felt he was ready. Apparently Friday. Now, it's funny because this conversation happened to zero news. So yeah, this guy that many of you know, because I put him on blast for it, was saying that I lied to zero news. You can't make this shit up. Anyway, it's always nice to have people who hate you. Because the more ridiculous they are, the more ridiculous hating you becomes. KJ says, oh, so Tom, you got the house. Congrats, man. I did. It is legal on Thursday. So I have to wait till Thursday for it to become legally my house. And then I'm aiming for the 4th of July to start moving in. Thank you, Freya. Appreciate you. Danny says, where has Raquel disappeared to? She is off with an illness at the moment. Isaiah says, congrats on the new house. Thank you, Isaiah. Appreciate you. Callie also says, congratulations on the house. Also, congratulations on your subscriptions as well. We're doing pretty well right now. I'm very excited. Pillar to Post says, Shotzi would fit well into the Wyatt 6. I do believe at the moment the focus is going to be on Nikki. I've said it before and I'll happily say it again. Nikki Cross is the focal point at the moment. Like a considerable focal point for the Wyatt 6. KJ says, favourite debut of last week, the Wyatt 6, Hendry or Jacob Fatu? Wyatt 6 for me. I've been waiting for them for a while. And honestly, I was initially concerned that they couldn't do it justice. I was wrong so far. King Az says, if Cody and Rock are facing each other at next year's WrestleMania, when do we get Rock versus Roman? Pretty much way down the line at this point, unfortunately. Eric says, who are some TNA people you would like to see come to WWE? Said it before, will happily say it again. Rosemary all the way. Isaiah says, what are your thoughts of WWE PLE in Brazil? WWE want money. It's that simple. Spadabel says, happy to see Mercedes Money having fun on CMLL this past weekend. We have a new channel supporter. Welcome, Wrestling Fiends. Clearly someone who is enjoying Wired 6. Thank you very kindly for your generosity in subscribing, becoming a member on the YouTube side. Cal says, Tom, I have a feeling if Alexa comes back, she'll come back as The Fiend or a similar character as The Fiend. After all, she led to his downfall at WrestleMania. Maybe she becomes The Fiend that night. I don't think she wants to be associated with the downfall of The Fiend. Khalid said the weather was very warm today, and Aja says humidity sucks. Humidity sucks. Roger says, someone said an X, Raw is going back to 2 hours when Raw goes to Netflix. It isn't. Jack says, for those who are not getting notifications for spoiler warning, press subscribes, then all. I do think people are doing that, unfortunately, but YouTube is not the most reliable. Alyssa says, do you agree with me? Seth Rollins is not a big deal. No. Hector says, wait, does that mean that Roman versus The Rock has been potentially scrapped? Even if it was never official, The Rock is going to be here longer than you expect. Razar says, how much longer till the Royal Rumble becomes a 2-night show too? I expect that soon. Counterfeit says, do you think it'll be Bianca that turns on Jade? But I see the fans still cheering for her, even though she'll be a heel. At the moment, yes, people would still cheer for her. I expect Jade to turn on Bayley if she turns. Sean says, even with Seth back, do you believe he'll still be back around Rumble time? Yeah, he's back. I'd say I was expecting him around Rumble time because of the time out that it was expected to be. I didn't know one way or the other, so I didn't report it. Chris says, congratulations to Cassie Lee, formerly Billie Kay, welcoming her second child. Congratulations indeed. Dan, welcome. Eve, Riot Girls of Wrestling, which is a genuine wrestling channel, by the way, guys. If you want free, available, great wrestling, just literally click the name. It says evening. There's also a lot behind their members section, which is basically everything. It's a great business model. Check it out. Spider-Ball says, CM Punk calling Solo a cosplay tribal chief was funny. Punk called Tamatonga and Tongaloa fake Usos. George says, did you lot notice how the QR code stopped when Uncle Howdy showed up? Maybe the codes were teasing them all along? Yeah. Sean says, with Seth back, do you believe Becky will be back at Rumble time? There is no information about this that I can share at that point in time. AJ says, Alex is a knob, to be fair. That being the guy on Twitter who's just giving me shit. Yeah, I thought... I read it and I was like, am I wrong there? Thank you, Ed, for confirming that was Peyton Royce as Cassie Lee rather than Billie Kay. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you. Thursday. Becomes official on Thursday. Joey says, I didn't expect to see Seth back so early. I thought it would be Royal Rumble. Me too. Then he says, how much did you pay for your new house? No comment, because that is information that can be used to trace where I live. Michael says, they finally found something that fits Nikki ever since Sanity stopped being a thing. This certainly fits the characters she has been in the past. I'm not unhappy with some of the characters that she's been, though I almost beat you is not the victory that she had to pretend it was. I've met Nikki Cross a couple of times. Very good speaker. Really enjoyed interviewing her. And she just really likes building up other people. Nothing but respect for her. John's favourite debut this week was Joe Hendry. Spider-Boss says, Mercedes Money recently said a Forbidden Door she'll win the title that was made for her. I remember you were the first one that said New Japan made the strong women's title for Mercedes Money, which they did. Danny says, will Drew be on Raw tonight? I cannot confirm at this point in time. Eric said, did you hear the pop for Chelsea when she won? It was amazing. People are getting into this. Dan quite rightly saying Nikki has earned that focus. And if you want to see a lot more of Nikki Cross, potentially under a slightly different surname, Eve's your guy. Zane also says Joe Hendry was his favourite debut, but misses a D. How can you think of Joe Hendry but forget about the D? Joey says, do you think we'll see more Joe Hendry appearances after the big social media numbers he did? Absolutely. Counterfeit says, Tom, you deserve more subs, and I don't know why you don't have more, but hey, because you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And I'm doing really well at the moment, honestly. I'm extremely proud of what we're doing right now, extremely proud of the amount of interest there is in the show right now, and the fact that right now we have 140 people watching. We have 95 likes. We've got a new member today. I'm thrilled with what's happening. So yes, I know I'm still relatively small, but I'm proud of what we're doing. If she wants to get to 100 likes, almost there. Joey says Solo versus Cody doesn't feel like a big enough match for SummerSlam. Well, maybe throw in a Roman Reigns. Spider-Boss says MVP recently said on social media Triple H didn't want to bring back the Hurt Business. Yes, because he was offered many times to do so, and he simply wasn't interested. Wrestling Fiends, firstly, thanks again for becoming a member. Says, hey Tom, love your videos. Watch you all the time. Love all your videos of Bray before and after he died. There was a lot that I was lucky enough to be able to share about Bray Wyatt and about Wyndham Rotunda in general. I am very proud of my coverage of everything there, highs and lows, and some of the decisions made by management about it. Very proud of what I was able to do. Spider-Boss says, I think Bron Breakker will win the IC title soon. I agree, I think that's likely. Zach, thank you very kindly for subscribing on the YouTube side. Very effective day so far when it comes to channel growth, I've got to say. Thank you very much, everyone, for continuing to support, for those who've donated, for those who even donate their time. Thank you to all of you. The other Mike says, Rock versus Roman and Cody versus Punk should be the matchups for WrestleMania 41. Yes, I know Punk is on a different brand. Not the plan at current. Razar says, when WWE goes to Netflix, will all the shows and PLEs air live there for people in the UK or just Raw? Everything will air live for everyone in the UK with Netflix. Isaiah says, do you expect to see female Samoans joining the Bloodline? If they are fitting of the story, yes. Chet said, Wrestling Dave YouTube is always giving you props, and I am always giving those props right back. We've found a very interesting little dynamic, myself and Wrestling Days, where I'm constantly saying, hey people, you gotta go check him out. And he, bless his heart, is saying the same back. It really does warm my heart and really does help the channel. So it makes a huge difference to what we're doing here. There's times when Dan here has put me over on Twitter for a video and it's really helped grow the channel. Those sort of things, those sort of endorsements are much more effective than just continually doing shows. It's one of those where the people who are invested, the people who choose to come over, already watch wrestling on YouTube. That said, I still love doing the shows, so I'm never going to stop. Freya says, I thought it will be Cody versus Orton at SummerSlam. The WWE's not suggested that in any way. The other Mike says, any news on NXT Europe or is it still silent for now? I think I reported on that last week. Robin Dave says, when Roman returns, the pop will be explosive. Camelina says, when is Jimmy coming back? When he's fit, and there is a story for it. KJ boosts our chat rate a little bit. Appreciate you, KJ. Khalid says, I agree with you. I can't wait to see Rosemary in WWE, Tom. I don't think it's going to happen, but I can but dream. Sean says, I hope during this crossover we see Mustafa Ali, Nick Nemeth, and Dirty Dango. Ali, I definitely want to see. There's difficulties in getting that over the line. An account only stating themselves to be anonymous on Twitch has gifted a sub to Big Dan. Anonymous, whoever you may be, you might not want to share, but I want to share a massive thank you to you. It's very generous of you and continues to grow on both sides. Thank you very kindly for dropping in and, of course, for supporting in this way. Thank you. Danny says, Chelsea said once she wins Money in the Bank and becomes champion, she'll change it back to the Divas Championship. Again, that's why she's not going to win. Hector says, Drew changed his Twitter profile pic to a pic of CM Punk on the ground, bleeding out the mouth. Is peak trolling by Drew. You might suggest it's punk trolling by Drew. Keenan says, will Sister Abigail become a physical character? There was never an intention to have a physical representation of Sister Abigail, primarily because Sister Abigail is long since dead. The Wyatt Law is actually consistent. And it means, and starts with, Sister Abigail dying. It's actually a Charles Dickens reference. See if you can spot the Charles Dickens reference that is actually for. Dane says, I'm disappointed the way WWE are using Naomi. I wish WWE would use her like TNA did. As she's a big fish in a small pond in TNA, not so much now. Joey says there's a plan for Chad Gable to feud with the Y6. More on that shortly. A lot of chat happening at the moment. I will be getting back to the news, let's say in 2 minutes. Sean says, when do you see Sonya getting back in the ring? Shortly. Relatively soon. Juan says, hey Tom, quick question. Why is WWE having Pyro on their shows but not AEW? Because WWE has decided to spend the money and make it happen. Spider-Boss says, Chad Gable healed faster than Wolverine. Last week Chad just got beat up by the Y6. Danny says, got the magical 100 likes, guys, get in. I'm still showing 99, but if you say so, I'm more than happy. Zane says, Wrestling Day is a top bloke, one of the best. I can only and wholeheartedly agree. Freya says, will CM Punk return? Yes. Counterfeit says, do you think the next Clash at the Castle will be in Ireland or somewhere else? Depends who pays the money for it. Spider-Boss says Sonya Deville would be a mouthpiece for Shayna and Zoe Stark, and a good one at that. Marcel says, I hope Bo will have a double identity, just like Bray, such as Firefly, Bray, Fiend, Bo, Uncle Howdy. Kind of, but also mostly not. Oh, Michael, thank you for claiming that. Says, didn't mean to send that as anonymous, but that was me. Thank you, Michael, for claiming that and communicating that. I do like to make sure people get their props. Thank you. Wrestling Fiend says, are you worried that Solo won't be over by the time Roman comes back? Do you think it will damage Solo going forwards? No, because Roman coming back will get Solo over. It's little things like that. All of this is building towards Roman's return, and Roman versus Solo is what is designed to get Solo over. Spider-Boss says, looking at the tag team division of WWE, the Usos are very badly missed as a tag team. Yeah, I think there's more they can do with the tag team division, but I think there are plenty enough people to make it happen. Hey, Dan, you're more than welcome to lurk. We love a lurk here, as you know. Thomas says, hi, Tom. Sorry I'm late. Hope all is good with you. All is going very well. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Spider-Boss says, when Drew isn't a social media troll, it's actually the best Drew. Yeah. Counterfeit says, Tom, who have you got winning the Rumble 2025 for the men and women? At the moment, I do not. I kind of think, by the way, we'll end up with Drew versus Gunter, so I don't think it's going to be a Raw winner of the Royal Rumble. With that in mind, The Rock's not an impossibility. Eddie says, hi, Tom. Update on Malachi, Penta and Wardlow. Don't have any at this point in time, unfortunately. Gotcha, Danny. I can now see it ticking over. Appreciate you keeping me updated. Joey said, did you see the deal that was announced with WWE in Indiana? Do you think we'll see more PLE deals with other states like that? Depending on who wants to spend as much money, yes. Bullet Ryan says, Roman could potentially return at SummerSlam to screw Solo. It's almost like you've watched the beginning of my show, mate. Denise is saying about Naomi. Frey is asking about AJ Lee coming back to WWE. No plans for that at the moment. Jacob Fatu, we have a little bit of information as to how he's going to be used and how excited people are for this. Because, and I'll start with a hint, they are really getting excited. Jacob Fatu will be the wild card in this new version of the Bloodline, to the point that he'll be difficult to control and a little bit like Solo Sikoa. In fact, Triple H is said to consider Fatu to have the most potential of anyone in the Bloodline, far outstripping that of Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, or in fact Jimmy and Jey Uso. The idea seems to be that over the next few years, Jacob Fatu will surpass even Jey Uso and be second only to Roman Reigns when it comes to the overall level in the Bloodline. It's been said to me that Fatu is expected to be future tribal chief material. He's going to be a bit insane at the moment, the werewolf, the wild card, difficult to control, and, if anything, he's going to give Solo Sikoa a lot of cause for concern. A Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu plotline is expected, just not anytime soon. This also gives me an opportunity to point out that at the moment, backstage in the WWE, there is an expectation of what is sort of the A storyline and will get the most attention, and what is B storylines. With Cody Rhodes now working with the Bloodline is firmly the A storyline in WWE. And in fact, they have been since WrestleMania. McIntyre versus CM Punk is being considered the B storyline, or in fact the top storyline on Monday Night Raw. Curiously, the Liv Morgan storyline, that being her and Dominic Mysterio, is considered more important than Damian Priest when it comes to things such as runtime, despite Damian Priest currently being the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, the WWE are waiting for Money in the Bank to establish more long-term stories, but the Wyatt Six have not yet appeared on that feud list. I expect as soon as they do, they'll be up near the top, suggesting that Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk has a dedicated end date coming relatively soon. We have two more things to report. We will be talking about the reception from WWE officials to the Wyatt Six, as well as Chad Gable's involvement, and a little bit on Kayla Braxton. Hector says, Tom, let's not forget Sister Abigail was supposed to face a demon at TLC 2017. Thank goodness they didn't get to go through with that one. Once again, she was never supposed to have physical form. That was, to be blunt, a delusion. There's a lot happening with the character. We don't have all of the information about what the Fiend was supposed to be, but elements of delusion and possession are a large part of it. A lot of Wyndham Rotunda's work comes from voodoo, and the more you learn about voodoo, and not just from that one episode of Bones, the more interesting it becomes. And in fact, the more the whole thing makes sense. Khalid says, I do enjoy watching Wrestling Days and See Wrestling. They're very good YouTubers. See Wrestling also, to be fair, has been very generous to me in the past, and I have a lot of time for See Wrestling as well. They're doing good work. They're creating good stuff. And honestly, YouTubers helping other YouTubers has been incredibly rewarding and in many ways quite humbling. And I very much appreciate both of them for their continued support. Andrew Hopkinson says, will Jay ever get a singles title if he ends up pulled back into the Bloodline storyline? Jey Uso might still. That moment is coming, but I don't expect his particular push to last too much longer. Clyde says, a like button smash between my dental appointment and the second job. We'll scroll to the beginning and enjoy the stream. Hope all is well with you, along with those in the chat. Sean says, I hope WWE leaves Ava in NXT as general manager and does not involve her in the Bloodline story. To my knowledge, there is no intention to do so. Mashup says, there are plans for Sammy to interact heavily with the Bloodline or Bloodline Wolfpack. Not to my knowledge, no. He's on the wrong side. Danny says, thoughts on Andrade as a new speed champion? He was available. They needed the championship off Ricochet. Devil says, hi Tom. Devils says, hi Tom. Would Sami Zayn be involved in this given the history, or would they introduce one or the other cousins and make it straight family? Sami Zayn is no longer associated with the Bloodline. Joey says, do you think if Jacob Fatu keeps taking the spotlight away from Solo, will this push Solo down the story? As I've mentioned, that's part of the plan. Spider-Boss says, actually wouldn't mind seeing Roman win the 2025 Rumble. I think now Roman is loved by the fans and wouldn't be a big problem if he won the 2025 Rumble. Eddie's asking about the first feud of Y6, more on that very shortly. Roger says, what is your all-time favourite storyline? I like the Bloodline, I genuinely do. Choppy, or peep. I'm not sure. Joey says the Y6 can be wrestling with different costumes or keep the same ones in the ring. Let's get on to this one. So there will be elements of changes with the costumes. The ones that we've seen so far are unlikely to be wrestling attire, but they will still look similar, or similar enough that most people don't notice the differences. The costumes that we've seen are one of quite considerable set. I'm expecting, or I've at least heard about, at least 3, but I'm expecting a few more. Marcel says, yeet in the bank, please. Steve says, any insight onto the Y6 hacking of Pat McAfee show broadcast? Is Pat a target? The You Lied slogan was cut in the last 2 shows now. Essentially, that comes down to Pat McAfee trying to get in on this one and trying to help it hit the ground running. Pat McAfee doesn't just work for WWE, he's very invested in assisting WWE in getting attention onto his show. He saw the buzz generated by the Y6 and wanted to try and get some of that buzz on himself. Can't really blame him. Michael says, are Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa even related to anyone on the Bloodline? I don't believe so. However, that doesn't really matter anymore. Spider-Boss says, Andrade complained about his booking on social media and now will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. WWE really pay attention to social media complaints. They don't. They don't at all. But thankfully, the WWE had these plans in place for him anyway. Roger doesn't like the hot weather. Ishii says the Y6 just posted a cryptic post on their Wired 6 account. There's a Y6 account? Bo Dallas is not a social media guy. The other Mike says, who is your all-time favourite faction? Difficult. It is probably Second Incarnation DX. Again, I like the Bloodline. Although Shield. Wyatt family. There's good stuff. Anyway, moving on. Roger, kinda. Ed says the Tongans are honorary members as Haku was very close with Afa and Sika. Eric says, my favourite thing about the Y6 is the name because it's ingenious. Wyatt 6. Sean says, in my opinion, it's a shame that Y6 is the only way Joe Gacy could debut on the main roster, and I also wish they would have used Dexter Loomis more before his involvement. Had no real plan for him. Bullet Ryan says Joe Gacy is a person who uses social media for the Wyatt 6. Is he? Is that being confirmed? The Man Free H says, do you see Triple H creating a new gimmick match like Hell in a Cell for the Y6 down the road? No. He won't. Danny says, hot weather is a pain. I suffer from really bad hay fever. My eyes are so sore. The WWE are thrilled with the reception for the Wyatt Six. Absolutely thrilled and eager to get this one started. The story is said to be a slow burner, very Bray Wyatt style, and it may be a little while before we see much in the way of in-ring action. It is not likely that we'll see, for example, Chad Gable versus Rambling Rabbit this week. Very unlikely at this point. Chad Gable is said to be an establishing figure, there to get a little bit beat up and to establish who the Wyatt Six are going to be. There's an element of Hounds of Justice about the Wyatt Six. Essentially going out and getting some payback. Chad Gable is going to be one of those that are defended by them because the Wyatt Six are expected to be faces. However, Chad Gable will not pick up many wins and is expected to be rewarded for his involvement establishing the Wyatt Six after he steps away from that storyline, which is of course when his new contract will really start to bear fruit. Spider-Boss says it's fair to say the four horsewomen make titles relevant and care a lot about the women's division, and also the other women who care about the women's division and make titles relevant. Hector says, Tom, what's your opinion on WWE making locations of future Big Four PLEs a huge deal, as opposed to in the past? Because I feel like states having been paying money for PLEs long before now. Not quite. Not quite. Before COVID, at least outside of Saudi Arabia, WWE was still paying for venues. They're doing that less and less. Sean says, do you know if WWE has been thrilled with Ethan Page since his debut? Overall, very happy with his involvement, yes. The man of 3H says, is Alexa Bliss going to be member number 6? Reported on that previously, Alexa Bliss will be working with the Wyatt Six. I can't necessarily say which side. Kevin says, what's so special about Jacob Fatu? I see another Jimmy Uso rip-off, my opinion. Your opinion is based on, what, 2 minutes? Give it time, eh? Dylan says, do you see the Wyatt Six attacking Jay or not? Because Jay said he respects Bray and is okay giving the Fireflies back to them. No, because he immediately lost his balls. Wrestling Fiend says, WWE are aware that the music intros aren't hitting home. Is there plans to change that? Yes. Spider-Boss says, I thought Chad Gable was going to win the IC title and Chad lost again. Yeah, me too. I was excited for that. Things apparently changed with that contract. Final piece of news I want to share, Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton is looking to follow the original Renee Young intended route, going into Hollywood, celebrity culture, and entertainment news. She is not intending to return to wrestling. Neither was Renee Young. And that's going to be our show. Hope you enjoyed it. Very Bloodline heavy, as you know. We will be back on Friday, and in fact, we'll only be 2 weeks before we wrap up for a couple of weeks while I move into the new house. July 8th will be both my birthday stream and also, in general, the last show for a couple of weeks while I finalise the move. And once we are back live, it'll be a brand new venue. Dan says, Eve not paying for venues, the dream. The big change in London venues now for me is venues don't just have higher fees, but minimum spends too. And wrestling fans are known for not being drinkers. I did not know that. That is a shame. I have to work something out for you. I mean, there's over 100 people here. And hopefully, if we ever do a UK meet, it will definitely be an Eve show, I'll tell you that. Mashup says, thank you, Tom. Hope you enjoy Thursday. I'm nervous as hell, Mashup, but, you know, nearly over the line. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.